Now know about $8 million worth of damage was done by all the rain that fell in Loving on Friday. More than 9 inches of rain fell in just 2 hours, to be exact. And Eddy County officials estimate more than 10,000 acres of crops were destroyed in the village just outside of Carlsbad. Now, if it's declared a natural disaster, officials want it to be deemed an agricultural natural disaster. The county's AG agent will be meeting with commissioners to find emergency funding for farmers.
Well, considerably tamer showers hit Albuquerque yesterday, just in time for Dollar Day at the New Mexico State Fair, where some visitors got drenched or a little wet. Despite the rain, most folks did stay at the fair. In fact, many were prepared. They listened to meteorologist John Smith's forecast yesterday. They brought their umbrellas, their ponchos, and more. Others just enjoyed the drizzle. A slow-moving storm even prompted a flash flood warning in the area.
Well, it was anything but mild to our south. Cabo San Lucas in Baja California, Mexico, got hit hard by Hurricane Odile. The Mexican government is sending military and commercial planes to nearby airports there to move out thousands of tourists stranded by that hurricane. It got a little wild at times. Some residents were even seen looting after the hurricane hit. It made landfall near Cabo on Sunday night at a Category 3, and it actually was considered a minimal hurricane Monday when it damaged everything from huts to hotels. Some areas are without electricity and drinking water. Back here in New Mexico, a woman who saved up for more than a year for a trip to go to Cabo landed in paradise at precisely the wrong time. Yeah,
Lori Rivera and her 3 friends landed at the resort town Sunday afternoon, just hours before Hurricane Odile hit, and made for a very noisy first night.
The glass doors in our room we thought were going to shatter and break. It was so scary. You could hear things left and right breaking outside.
When Ms. Rivera woke up, paradise had turned into a mess. Now without power and with the town shut down by the Category 3 storm, Rivera wants nothing more than to come home back here to New Mexico. However, the airport there is damaged and it's unclear when she and her friends will be able to leave. In fact, News 13's own Brianna Salazar is stuck in Cabo too. She is there on her honeymoon. Well, 5:03 now. Gary King's relationship with his campaign manager did not get past the honeymoon stage just 6 weeks before the election, and King's campaign manager has resigned. Keith Breitbach was King's 3rd campaign manager on the job for just about 2 months. Breitbach quit just a day after King was criticized for questioning whether Susana Martinez has the, quote, heart of a real Latina. Breitbach says he resigned to focus on his family. Back in June, King's then newly hired campaign manager quit when it was revealed he had tweeted disparaging comments about heavy women. Well, a week from today, we could know what will be on the ballot here in Bernalillo County come November.
That's when the state Supreme Court is set to hear the oral arguments on the county's battle. Both Santa Fe and Bernalillo County commissioners approved poll questions that wouldn't change any laws, only gather opinions. One would ask if voters want to see reduced penalties for possessing small amounts of marijuana. Another would ask about using a gross receipt tax to fund mental health services. This morning's Albuquerque Journal says the state Supreme Court will hear those oral arguments a week from today. And the court is telling Bernalillo County not to put absentee ballots in the mail this weekend as it planned to do. Secretary of State Diana Duran says those questions violate the state's constitution. On Monday, just yesterday, Bernalillo County commissioners voted 3-2 to challenge the state.
Now we have, I think, interference from the state level, basically telling local folks what they can and cannot do.
Today, Santa Fe County commissioners will decide if they will go through their own legal challenge. We'll keep you posted. Well, voters who waited in line for hours during one election say they will not do it again. Remember this, during the general election in 2012, voters in Rio Rancho waited for hours to cast their ballot, while others simply gave up. One of those voters filed a lawsuit along with 2 Republican candidates who lost close races. The county Republican Party says 80% of their registered voters live in Rio Rancho, and those who were left without a vote could have had an impact on the outcomes. Now a federal judge has ruled no more long lines.
He said that by not having enough equipment there for everyone to vote in a timely manner, that our county clerk had in essence disenfranchised thousands of voters.
Sandoval County officials say that mess happened because they did not have enough resources. They say this time around, they will be prepared.
A not guilty plea from Rio Arriba County Sheriff Tommy Rodella to federal charges that he hurt a driver during an off-duty traffic stop. Sheriff Rodella was arraigned yesterday on deprivation of rights and brandishing of firearm charges. Prosecutors say back in March, Rodella used his personal SUV to pull over a man in Espanola, shoved his badge in the driver's face, then dragged him from his own car. 3 other drivers have come forward saying similar things happened to them. Yesterday, the judge denied a motion by Mr. Rodella's attorney to allow them to pool jurors from northern New Mexico. The prosecution argued Rodella had too many friends there. Rodella lost his primary in June and has just a few months left on the job. His trial is set for later this month. Liz.
Well, President Obama meets today with the man he chose to head up America's campaign against ISIS, retired Marine General John Allen. They'll be discussing the international coalition being formed to stop ISIS militants in Iraq and Syria. Nearly 40 nations, including Arab allies, have signed on to join the fight.
This has to be a broad-based coalition, so it cannot be perceived as Westerners going into another Middle East country to try to do some kind of regime change.
Today's meeting comes after the U.S. launched an airstrike Monday southwest of Baghdad. It was the first in an expanded mission. Today on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are expected to begin debate on part of the president's plan to tackle ISIS on the ground. It's a $500 million request to train and equip moderate rebels who will battle ISIS in Syria. Many lawmakers are concerned weapons intended for rebels could end up in the wrong hands.
Well, 5:07 now, nearly 70 years after the atomic bomb was tested here, federal researchers want to see if the blast gave New Mexicans cancer. The Wall Street Journal reports that the National Cancer Institute will interview people who lived here in New Mexico when the Trinity test happened back in 1945. That study could lead to compensation for people exposed to radiation from the nuclear testing. The boil water advisory for people in Farmington has now been canceled. Tests for bacterial contamination of the city's water turned out negative. The city says a small amount of untreated lake water was mixed with a large amount of treated water. The problem was discovered quickly, and the city immediately flushed the contaminated water from the system. And Google wants to test drones right here in New Mexico. PC World reports Google has asked the Federal Communications Commission for temporary permission to perform the test starting in October. Remember, Google bought Titan Aerospace in Moriarty back in April. Titan makes solar-powered drones. Google says the drones could help take internet access to remote parts of the world. The test would last about 6 months.